Well, I'm back. Part one of Unpack Your Bags and Let's Go was really about the beginning steps of understanding self defeating behavior and where does it really come from. Now, there's no single way. Mental illness is around us every single day. Sometimes it can be a chemical imbalance, it can come from the food you eat, it can be triggered genetically. Something is inside of you that creates that trigger. But I'm here to tell you that it all can be resolved and it definitely managed. When you have resentment, it's really about having a bitterness, some type of bitter indignation towards someone. Something happened, and our perception of what happened took power away from us. There was an absence of power, control, love, significance, safety, and protection, which means it's really anchored in fear, false evidence appearing real, really anchored in some fear that perhaps we're not good enough for, or perhaps because we're not in control of our lives, that we've fallen short of the mark. That we're still a little inadequate, and that causes us to go and sabotage many relationships, even our own relationship with ourselves. The thinker thinks and the prover proves. People say, well, James, what does a prover prove? Whatever the thinker thinks. I use the analogy of the captain and the crew. The captain is the conscious mind, the crew is the subconscious mind. And the crew just operates. It operates, it does its thing, it keeps everything together, but it plays a lot. It goes and runs amok sometimes. The captain gives an order to the crew, and the crew must obey the order. See, that's why you are whatever you are conscious of being. When you give a command that I am not good enough, then the crew will carry out that mission and prove it. The thinker thinks, and the prover proves. You see, the crew at one point can run amok and betray the captain, even betray the orders that you want to bark because you were not clear in giving direction to the crew. On a subconscious level, even on a cellular level, the clarity is really the key. And it's not just the words you say, it is how you say the words. If you look at the different syntax of words, well, James bit a cow bit James. James chased a dog chased James. You have two different images, two different definitions, two different outcomes and perceptions of what is happening. So your languaging is so important, but you must first confront, be open, and be honest with your resentments because they hold you back. Someone wronged you, or you felt like they did, or they betrayed you, or did not love you the way you want to be loved, based upon their actions, based upon their words, based upon uh, what they're doing and you're responding to. And when that happens, we become so outer directed. That means we're being driven by outside forces, outside influences driving our life versus being inner directed. You could say cool and have clarity, peace, gratitude for all things, and understand that nothing has to matter until you allow it to matter. So, in this exercise, I'm going to ask you to write down the people that you may resent. And I'll give you some examples. Has you ever had a situation where your significant other, man, woman, however you define it, um, did something or didn't do something where you felt like there was a loss of love or some type of betrayal, control, significance, something you were embarrassed about? Maybe the way they spoke to you and the tone of their voice. And that may have anchored a previous emotion that came from someplace else, but you hold a resentment there. A resentment can be someone who was supposed to pick you up at 6 o'clock and they got there at 7 o'clock. And there's a resentment there, even if we act like we let it go, because that's going to come in the next chapter. Okay, that's going to be part three. Have a lot of fun there. Because after resentments, we have to identify how did it make us feel and what did we do to get even. That's going to be a lot of fun. So the resentments could be towards your children who, because of what their needs were, you felt like you didn't have a life, or a parent that restricted you, or a mate that restricted you. a job or a boss that restricted you, that belittled you, that made you feel like you were not significant, you were not important, that you felt disrespected. Again, a loss of feeling, a lack of love, of control, of significance, worthiness, importance. So I want you to write on your list every person that you may harbor a resentment towards. Now, they'll never have to see this. This is just for you and me. But I want you to write it down. Write out the list. Write it out. Write it out. Write it out. Once you write your first 5 to 10 names, I want you to stop and start at the first one and write out the story of what happened. In your own words, what do you feel from your perspective happened to start this? What was the story? I often talk about the story of the man at the Christmas party. He and his wife are enjoying themselves as a Christmas party, and the boss gets inebriated, and the boss hits on his wife. Oh no. Is that a feeling of a lack of control? Because if you attack him, if you respond to that, you may lose your job. But this person has executed power over you, and that makes a person feel or have a perception of feeling insignificant. Because if I was good enough, you would have never disrespected me that way. Yeah. So he doesn't say anything to the boss. He's seething. But when he gets home, he takes it out on the wife. Why? Because of the fear. Low grade upset, fear waiting to happen. Ooh, perhaps if she was attracted to his power and not attracted to that man's lack of perception of power, of control, or just being a man or being someone that's respected and honored. So he argues with his wife. She feels like it's silly. She goes to sleep. He goes to sleep. They're both facing opposite directions, and there you go. The next morning, they get up and they're polite enough, and he goes to work, and he's not done. He's going to tell all his coworkers what happened. After all, some of them may have seen it, or he told the story as it was unfolding. He's still a little upset. So he's telling the story, and he gets off work, and he goes out to the local pub with his friends, and his wife calls him, "Honey, where are you?" Well, I stopped up at the pub with some of the guys from work, some of the girls from work. Well, when are you coming home? Well, I'll let you know. We're hanging out right now, just chatting, having a good time. I'll call you back. The moment she hangs up, he turns his phone off. Okay. Because he's got to get back. He's got to take back the control. He turns that phone off. He stays out to midnight. She tries to call him again. It goes to voicemail. He walks in the door, 1 a.m. in the morning, and she's hot, pretending to be asleep. And she comes in. He wants to get all touchy feely, touching and feeling, touching and feeling, and she lets him have it. And again, he feels a perception of loss of love, of significance, of control, embarrassment, and he begins to shut down. So there's a human defense mechanism that we'll talk about later that causes him to shut down, shut her out, because the way she made him feel. And they go back and forth, and then later they end up having an affair. He first, she second, she first, he second. Who knows? But they end up in divorce court. Why? Why did this start? Where did the spin begin? When the boss hit on the wife at the Christmas party. The first thing I would share with you: when things go wrong, don't go wrong with it. When things go crazy, don't go crazy. I'm not saying that they're not wrong. I'm not saying they don't have to be addressed. I'm saying don't lose it. A person that cannot control their anger is like a city without walls. You're defenseless. That means any little thing that can come in now to attack you. One little thing can mean many things that had nothing to do with that situation. And we begin to spin and spin and self destruct. The problem is with that is that in life, we can't control other people. We can't control the boss. We can't control the wife. We can't control the kids, but only so much. And most of the time, we can't even control ourselves. So in life, things are going to happen. You don't have to happen with it. Breathe through it. Separate how you feel from what you know to be true. Because we're going to talk about the stories that you're going to write for each individual. What was that story? Then we're going to go into how you may have felt. When were there those actions of perception of lack of love, control, significance. And then what did you do to get even? Oh, you always get even. So this is going to be part two. Who do you resent and why? I love teaching this program because at the end of this program, oh man, you're going to be equipped to go out there and handle the world. You're going to be like the Matrix, man. You're just going to, ooh, and everything just floats right past you. And not to say you want to dress things, but the way you dress them will definitely change. And if you want to go in deeper, we're going to put this entire program into JD3TV.com. Again, JD3TV.com, my edutainment platform where you can go get information, movies, education, but be inspired, but also be educated on how do you make more money? How do you build a stronger relationship? How do you get better in your physical health? How do you get better in your spiritual health? All these things are there. And then how you can be a part of the community of JD3TV.com. So get ready for part three of Unpack Your Bags and let's go. Mm. How did you feel and how did you respond? And then we'll talk about how do you separate how you feel from what you know to be true. Yeah. Have an amazing day. Peace.